So I want to go over the most missed questions, and this is one of them. Uh, so when we say stresses in geology, you need to think forces. So when a stress or a force acts on the asthenosphere, it can flow, it can bend. Now we can compare this to the lithosphere. The lithosphere is the crust that we live on and the upper part of the mantle. It's rigid. Okay, it breaks. It does not bend or flow. It just breaks. That's why we have earthquakes. The asthenosphere, on the other hand, can flow. So it's more plastic. And that is in your textbook. So if we go to your textbook, Plate Tectonics, lesson one, all right, and we scroll down, there it is right there. The lithosphere is composed of both crust and a portion of the upper mantle that behaves as a brittle, rigid solid. The asthenosphere is partially molten upper mantle material that behaves plastically and can flow. All right, this is why when I ask you to read the chapter, I need you to read the chapter. I don't get paid per person that reads the chapter. I mean, I need you to do it. All right. Um, the best explanation for the past magnetic polarity of Europe and North America. The North Pole stayed more or less in the same place, and the continents drifted. All right. So again, if we look in our textbook, now that is going to be in lesson 2 on continental drift. And we have like rock evidence, we have fossil evidence for continental drift, we have glacial evidence, we have coral reefs and coal forming swamps. All right, all that fossil evidence and ancient evidence is evidence of continental drift. But then we get to magnetic polarity. So what happened is they started finding that rocks, now remember volcanic rocks, as they crystallize and solidify, the magnetic particles inside of them line up with the Earth's magnetic field, right? So you would expect every rock everywhere on the planet to point north, right? Or the magnetic particles inside the rock. If you hold a magnometer, something that measures magnetic field, they should point north. And the older rocks that were the same age pointed in the same direction, but it wasn't the current magnetic North Pole. And then older rocks, or rocks of different ages, pointed to different places. Okay? So there was this idea. It's like, well, has the North Pole moved around? This was the current one, and then 20 million years ago, and then 40 million years ago, and 60 million years ago, and 80 million years ago. That doesn't make sense. All right. So finally, what they did is they said, well, what if the continents had drifted? Okay. And if the continents had drifted, then they would be able to put the continents together as Wegener had proposed, and then you would see that over time, as they drifted to their current locations, that would explain these weird, um, these rocks that point in the wrong direction, so to speak. They pointed in the right direction when the rocks formed because the continents were in a different location. So it's there in the textbook. This one, all deep sea trenches are located. The best answer. Well, the best answer is near chains of active volcanoes, because there's always going to be a chain of active volcanoes. There's not always going to be a continent. Okay, it could be two oceanic crusts that are colliding and forming a trench and a subduction zone. So this would be the best answer, and that is also in 6.3. It's in your textbook. Magnetic polarity stripes. They're either going to end at the edge of a continent or at the mid-ocean ridge where they were formed. So the answer should be A or B. All right. the oldest oceanic crust is less than 180 million years old. The oldest rocks, continental rocks, are like 4.6 billion years old. But the oldest, right, the oldest oceanic rocks are less than 180 million years old. So there we have a discrepancy, and that tells us that the seafloor is being made much and destroyed much more quickly than continental crust. All right, and so that's the review. Then we had 2 Plicks that were assigned, and of course there was a previous CK12 assignment that was due today, and I added 2 Plicks to that. Remember, Plicks, they don't necessarily turn in the way the other CK12 assignments do. You just have to complete it, and I'll see that you got 100. All right. Have a nice day, and hope this helps.